Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vicky Patterson, The Secret To. This week, I am joined by model, body positive content creator, and refuge ambassador, Aisha Perry Iqbal. Welcome, gorgeous. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I've got a brand new mic. You're the first person I've used it for, and I'm very excited.
Honestly, I wish I had a fancy mic too.
Well, babe, when you're walloping out about 6 of these some weeks, you need one. You absolutely need one. Do you like it? We haven't got a name for her yet. I'll let you could pick a name if you like. What do you think?
I'm not going to do that because she's your mic and she's your baby, so you need to pick the name.
Yeah,
but I love her.
It is a lot of pressure. My producer just hazarded a guess at Michael this morning, and she got really rudely shot down by me. So it's probably best if you don't hazard a guess, to be honest. I'm quite precious already. Thank you so much for agreeing to join, Wer.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So I suppose you wear a lot of hats, Aisha, don't you? Like you're a model, a content creator. Obviously, you have this brand new role with the guys at Refuge, which I'm going to get into later. But I suppose I just wanted to chat to you first about how you got into modeling. I mean, obviously, for me, who's looking straight at you, it's pretty obvious why, because you're fucking gorgeous.
Oh, thanks.
Did you always want to be a model?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I did theater and acted, dancing, singing my whole life, and I moved to LA when I was 21.
Was that exciting or was that nerve-wracking?
I think it was a bit of both, but I kind of like overrode the nerves with just like, wow, this is going to be a new experience. This is amazing for me. And I grew up in Wales and I was kind of feeling alienated because there was just a lot of white people. And growing up mixed race at the time, there wasn't so many mixed race people where I was, and also not being like Asian and white. So for me, I just felt super alienated, and with like being curvy also. So then when I moved to the States and I basically got off the plane, there was so many different ethnicities, so many mixed race people, and I just instantly felt like I could see myself in other people. There was people to relate to. There was ways to find myself, and I just felt like at home. So the nerves went away really quick when I first moved over there.
That's so amazing. So obviously in my head, I was just thinking like, fuck, because I remember going to uni at 18 and I only went to Liverpool, which I thought was like a huge, great big leap. And you know, at that age it is, I'm not diminishing that at all. But like, fucking hell, you went to the other side of the world. So all I'm thinking is, God, I would have missed my friends. I would have missed my family. But I suppose I never had those feelings of not being represented, feeling slightly alienated. So actually, it, in a way, must have felt like going home, you know, like really, I suppose.
Yeah, in a sense, I just felt like I found my identity. Like I really found the person that I am. And I don't think people realize, like, as mixed race people, no matter what your mix is, you're very chameleon-like, and you can kind of lean into lots of different cultures and ethnicities. And for me, I have friends now from all over the world, like, and I've been to all different countries where my friends were born and different things. And I've taken all of those different cultures and those experiences, and it's made me so worldly, and it's just added to me being so much more comfortable with my ethnicity. So yeah, I'm really grateful for my experience moving.
That's lovely. I'm a firm believer that travel like broadens your mind, like helps you grow as a person, like makes you sort of like, I just think more interesting. So that's good to know. And did you like LA?
I love LA. I still live there now.
Fuck, so am I talking to you from LA?
No, I'm in London right now because I'm doing other stuff here with Refuge, but I've been in LA for 11 years.
Oh my God, that's so exciting, mate. So I've never been to LA. I actually have problems getting in America. I'm really nice now, but I used to be a right little bastard. So Joe Biden's feeling a bit hesitant, and I can't blame him based on my checkered criminal past. It felt like if I sang it, it would make it less awkward, and it didn't. Anyway, so I'm dying to go to LA, but obviously can't really. So tell me everything. Somebody was saying to me, like, it's this amazing like juxtaposition of beautiful, incredible shops on Rodeo Drive and like Hollywood Hills and fancy hiking and everyone doing green juice. And then like you walk around the corner and it's actually quite scary. Is that true?
So LA's it's a vast area. So it's a city that's really spread out in lots of different areas. So If you're downtown, for example, that would be where the homeless people are, but you don't really see that in general around all parts of the city. But I would say the same as in London. You know how like East London is very hipster, and then West London's very upscale and expensive. Central London's very touristy. I feel like in that
LA has all
sense, that's what LA is, but it's much more spread out.
Oh, okay. Well, that actually makes perfect sense. So you're in LA, you are at a drama school. Was that just like being in Fame, the film?
Um, I'm not sure. It was much more strenuous and
Okay.
hardcore on my mental and physical health than it is in Fame, but it definitely had a vibe of that. What I really loved about going to drama school over there was American people are just much more outgoing when it
Okay.
comes to like singing and theater and whatever. So, because obviously Broadway is from New York,
Yeah.
so it was really weird to just go into the cafeteria and everyone's like singing and dancing. Everyone's really loud because American people are just loud.
Yeah, they are.
So
That's the stereotype, isn't it? But it's a bit true when it comes to like drama students, I'm
yeah,
assuming. Yeah.
yeah, especially considering my friend group, the majority of us were from all different parts in the world, different parts of America, and we all just like came together and it created this like circle of creativity and loudness and whatever. And it was really great. I loved drama school.
Oh,
It didn't give me a proper image of what LA was like though. It was very much a bubble, but it was great.
but then I think, whether you're at uni, whether you're at drama school, like wherever you choose to go, like it is a bubble. You're not
Yeah.
living like sort of in the real world. It's a little step, it's that next step into
Yeah.
being a grown up. So I think that's a pretty normal experience, to be fair. Can I just ask why LA? Like, obviously, I'm sure there's loads of people who'll be listening to this who'll think, God, that sounds amazing. How did she get in? Why did she choose to go there? So maybe if you could give them some advice.
You know what? I was auditioning for drama schools in London, and I auditioned for a particular drama school, which I won't name the name of.
Which shall remain nameless because I feel like they're about to get dragged.
I auditioned 2 years in a row, and I got down to the last round. And if anyone is in theatre or is auditioning for drama school, they know that it is like so many different rounds of auditions. They only maybe
Aye.
take at tops 20 people a year per
Yeah.
school. So
So it's competitive.
it's very competitive. And I got down to the last round 2 years in a row. And on my second year, the head of the musical theatre department came out to me and was like, "We absolutely love you. We think you're so talented, but you just don't fit in the musical at the end of the year." And to me, that said all I needed to know about the fact that because of my ethnicity, again, I was not going to be accepted because they couldn't see me in the musical at the end of the year. And I mean, I know that it is evolved now, 11
Yeah.
years later, but at the time, you did not see Asian people, especially not mixed race people, not on TV, not in especially not in theater. So, yeah.
Fucking hell. How did that feel, mate? Because like even like just hearing it secondhand, like I could cry. It feels
Yeah.
so unfair and unjust.
It just made me feel like I wasn't good enough, or that like I couldn't play. I would never have an opportunity to be in the industry at all as a creative entity because my parents had decided to not just be one ethnicity. And I was mixed race, and
How dare
immediately-
they? Man, I'm
So-
so sorry. So obviously then you thought if I can't get to where I need to be in this country, I'm gonna broaden my net, so to speak.
You know what? It just kind of came up, to be honest. I don't even know how. I must have been like on my computer, an advertisement came up for the school in LA, and they were auditioning. They had one audition a year in London, and it was the same day that I got rejected from the other place.
Ah, serendipitous.
So I was annoyed. So I just said, you know what? I am taking myself over to this other audition.
Yeah.
So I did everything that the same monologue, the same song, didn't even prepare for this audition because this wasn't the school for me. It wasn't the place I thought I needed to go. And they called me, gave me a scholarship, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to LA. That's it. And I just didn't even look back. That was it. I just went.
Good for no, but that's so brave and so exciting, and also like it's clearly paid off for you. So then, did you start working within the world of acting straight away, or did you just
No?
decide
So I've had a whole journey in LA. So after college, I had 1 year of basically extra papers that would enable me to work for a year.
Okay.
And
Like
you
a
have
visa
to,
type thing.
yeah, so you would have to work within the industry. But it is actually impossible to come straight out of college and be working to the extent that I would need to work to be able to get a different visa or whatever. So I was actually working at a movie theater because still it's under the industry
Oh,
bracket.
okay. Sneaky little loophole.
Yeah, it was sneaky, but I did it because technically it's not wrong.
Yeah.
So I was working there sweeping popcorn, literally, and I went to go see a manager about acting, and he was like, "Well, you're so pretty, but you're just too big. So you're either, and you're also too pretty to be the best friend." So it was basically, I was too big to be the lead, but I was too pretty to be the best friend. So he
How
was
can
like,
people get away with saying shit like that in this day and age, mate?
"It's the industry. They say and do very crazy, disgusting things, especially to women, especially ethnic minorities." So
I don't think I've got
um,
a thick enough skin for it. Like, I absolutely couldn't hear this stuff. You must be
yeah,
really tough.
yeah.
Oh,
I just sat there and I was like, well, okay. Because I was thinking, like, so is he telling me that I need to lose weight or I need to be ugly? Like, I don't get it.
fuck. I mean, I feel like as a man, he has no right to tell you any of these things anyway. As a human being, he has no right
But
to tell
you know
you
what?
any of these things.
Men in the industry will excuse it with, well, this is just how you're going to make money. And I'm just telling you in an honest space so you can do whatever you need to do in the industry, which again is still not warranted. But, you know, misogynists are everywhere. So that a few nights after that, I went to dinner with my friends, and this was like right when like the curve modeling thing was just starting. Ashley Graham was out, one of the pioneers of the curve modeling industry, but there wasn't really many girls in LA doing it. They were doing it though, and they were like, you know, you should just start modeling. And I was like, oh God, that's like the last thing I would want to do.
Uh-huh.
But then they made me take my digitals and I got signed to a good agency, a curve modeling agency within the week. And I was like, you know what? Let me just give this a go. Maybe this is my way into the industry.
Yeah.
Maybe just go for it. So I went for it and I ended up finding out that I was the only Pakistani plus model in the United States. And
Wow. Well, at least you got the market covered.
I mean, yeah, but it also came with a lot of different issues being the first one and in the curve industry on top of it. So as a whole, we're pioneering for curvy women, for plus size women to be able to be seen and to be represented in the fashion industry. And then on top of it, I'm battling my ethnicity, being the only one and paving the way for all of us. There are obviously now other girls that are getting opportunities, and it just makes me so happy when I see them. But it just at the beginning, it was really difficult to try and like muster through, get the jobs done.
I think that's an awful lot of pressure. Like, I don't know if I don't want to put words in your mouth, mate, but I would feel like super proud of myself, you know, to be paving the way kind of thing, but also feel like I wasn't just doing it for myself. I was kind of doing it for like a whole nation of women as well. Did you ever
To be
feel that?
honest, I feel like a lot of the choices in my career have been for women and
Yeah.
especially for ethnic women in lots of aspects of my career. And it's very fulfilling. And it's not just because I want to be seen as the person paving the way. It just there needs to be change
Yeah.
in so many aspects for women. And I just feel really passionate about it. And I really enjoy working on it. So yeah, it doesn't feel like pressure anymore.
Yeah.
Not with modeling anyway. It did feel like pressure in the beginning, but now I just exist as who I am. And if you like me, great. If you don't, okay, bye. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Is it really lovely to feel like you are finally being accepted for exactly who you are? Like, I know that there's probably still so much progression we need to have in terms of like acceptance for like plus size curvier models, whatever. But it definitely feels like we're going in the right direction.
I feel like it's not necessarily an acceptance in the industry or in the world, though. I think it's just women who are women who are curvier or bigger in whatever aspect, they're just being unapologetic now. And it's not even, I don't even think is that people are more accepting. Women are just more unapologetic. And I love that for us.
Yeah. I suppose people have got no choice whether they want to accept it or not. If you're owning who you are and embracing what you look like, people just have to roll with the agenda.
Yeah. And honestly, there are a lot of things wrong with the body positive movement, with the plus size industry. It's not all positive and great and whatever. I agree that you should love yourself at whatever size that you are, but I do believe that you need to be happy and healthy. Healthy being the key word. And, you know, healthy looks different on everyone, and happy also looks different on everyone. But to be healthy and happy is to look after your mind, your body, and your soul, putting the right foods in your body, working out, whatever it is that helps your mind, your soul. And I think overall it's to become the best version of yourself. So however that looks for you is different. But yeah, it's to also always bear that in mind.
So is that what body positivity means to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think you're right, babe. Like I've always said, as a woman who has been really, really honest about the difficulty I've had coming to terms with my body, and its ever fluctuating shape. I'm sort of 35 now, and I finally realized that actually being really skinny never brought me happiness or peace. Like I was constantly hungry and subsequently very hangry. Not a nice person to be around. It was very boring. Like training twice a day and counting how many blueberries you put on your porridge is absolutely no way to live. But also I found like the polar opposite of that, where I just completely wasn't listening to what my body needed and was living in an unhealthy way, like too many takeaways, drinking all the time. I found I wasn't happy there either, because I just
Yeah.
think my mental health suffered. So it's taken me to being about 35 to realize that actually, like, my happiness lies in the middle. I love to work out predominantly just because it puts me in a really good mood. But also I'm always going to have like boobs and a bum, and I'm okay with that.
But don't you think like hitting 30 just puts you in a new space and mentality about how you feel about yourself and your body and what you will accept from outside sources
Yeah. No,
as
I
far
mean,
as like what you should look like?
yeah, I
'Cause I
think
felt that way when I hit 32.
30 is like such a wonderful milestone for women, actually. Like
Absolutely.
I got really in my own head about it, and I don't know about you.
You do
I,
that
I
too.
yeah, yeah. Oh God, it's like you're saying goodbye to your 20s, and I think society kind of convinces you that means you're like saying goodbye to your youth or something, and
Yeah.
all the fun things. But my 20s for me were racked with like some really like some really difficult moments. Like I was learning about myself, but I was
Yeah.
having to do it in front of like millions of people, which is not actually a very healthy or great space to grow up in. Actually, you're meant to be able to make mistakes without everyone judging you all the time. So yeah, there was that. Like I was constantly riddled with self-doubt and insecurity, just wanting to look like everyone else, but actually like my body wasn't the same as everyone else's. I don't know. I just wasn't I wasn't really happy in my 20s. And then I fucking got to 30 and I was really scared about it because everyone convinces you, oh, your life's over. And it's been class. I've absolutely loved my 30s so far. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 32.
Okay, babe. So, I mean, I've got, like, listen, it's actually getting better every year I get older.
Honestly, it's been the same for me. I was exactly what you're saying. I felt that way too about being afraid to hit 30 and I just thought my life was over. But this has been the prime of my life. The prime in every aspect. Like I just feel better overall. I have more energy. I'm going around doing whatever I want. I don't care what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
Also, the sex is much better in your 30s when you're a woman. You just hit like this prime and you're like, let's go.
Oh my God, you made me blush a little bit there. Normally, I'm the one who makes people blush. Yeah, do you know what? I think it's because, and it's going back to what you said earlier, this word unapologetic, isn't it? Like you
Yeah.
just are. And I think like in my 20s, I would have been dead scared to say like, oh, a little bit to the left, or I like it there, or like, no, let me do this. I would have never done it. But like in my 30s, I'm very much like, I'm not afraid to ask for what I want or say what I want. And actually, that's a blanket statement. I don't just mean like in the bedroom potentially. I don't just mean like when I'm
Right.
like to my stylist. I mean like professionally. I mean in friendships. I mean relationships. Like we're just, I think you find your stride in your 30s and you're so much less likely to do things that make you unhappy to please others.
Yeah, and what I really learned, like in my 29 going into 30, was how to set healthy boundaries. I
Important.
feel like I didn't know how to express a boundary previously. And I'm not saying that like when you're in your 30s, you're perfect because you're obviously ever evolving, especially if you're constantly working on yourself. Um, but I do feel that being able to set healthy boundaries has been such a great thing for me personally. And then also when it comes to sex in particular, I just feel like I'm not just having sex because I find someone attractive like I was doing in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like now there's so many things like mental stimulation and stuff like that that I would need for me to want to have sex with someone, which ultimately makes the sex better. And I'm also just more in tune with my body and everything else. So it all just together is like a
Oh,
match.
it's just electric. But then I think like, if you're having that connection with someone on every level, it's bound to feel more special and more exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But we don't even think about that, especially in our early 20s, I don't think.
Oh, mate, honestly, in my teens and 20s, like, I feel like I did not know what I was doing sexually. Like, I actually was probably just really wishing it would be over because I had no clue. I honestly don't think and I feel like for the most part, and this is really bad, like, I probably was just doing it because the fella wanted to. That's really bad, isn't it?
And do you know what's really bad is like the women in their late teens, early 20s, are a lot of our sexual experience are coercion from the males that we end up having sex with. When I look back on my early 20s, I could probably tell you that maybe 80% of the people I had sex with were people that I got coerced into having sex with.
Yeah. And when you say that word coerced, right, it comes with such like heavy negative connotation, right? But like, I know exactly what you mean. Like sometimes, like I just knew it was what was expected of us in a relationship, or it was what like a fella wanted. So I do it because I wanted to make him happy. And that, in the mildest sense, is just coercion as well, isn't it?
We as women, I mean, men don't know what consent is at all and they need to be taught that. But I think that when it comes to women, I think we don't know how to say, it's not
Yeah.
even that we should have to say no. If we're giving off a body language that means
Yeah.
no, I don't know why a man thinks that they can still keep going.
It's
It's all about consent. It's all about boundaries. And also, I think loving yourself enough that you put
yeah.
yourself in positions with the right people, which we understand that in your late teens, early 20s, you don't really think about those things because you're still finding yourself, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's like super problematic, but I feel like, I see a lot more now. And like every generation, we're all just doing our best, Like my
Mhm.
mom, her mom before her, they all just do their best, right? I feel like now, like the type of child I want to raise, whether it be a girl or a boy, like I want to raise a boy who is like so respectful of women, just like absolutely understands consent, understands like what is appropriate, understands like how they should be treated, like everything,
Yeah.
treats women like queens. But then also I want to raise a woman who completely understands like her self-worth is in no way like related to a man's
But do
opinion
you
of her.
not feel that as millennials, we're the
Yeah.
first kind of generation that really even looked at our mental health?
Am I a millennial?
Yeah, we're both millennials.
Buzzing. Okay, because
So
I'll fucking
our parents back, they didn't even express their emotions in
yeah.
general.
Yeah,
So for
yeah.
us, we're the first generation that really looked at therapy, at our mental health, at what it looks like to be happy and healthy in every aspect. And I think even Gen Z, who's like the generation below us,
They're the
they're
ones, yeah.
even more into those things and being accepting of themselves and finding their identities. And I really believe that the children that we will be bringing up, we just have worked so hard to instill those things in ourselves that
Yeah.
why wouldn't we be giving a different look for a child growing up with us?
I honestly think that's a really optimistic and very like wonderful thought is that we're going to bring up really lovely children. And that makes me really, really happy.
Yes,
Really?
I think we will, but you can't speak for everyone. But
No.
it's very clear that we are understanding of ourselves and accepting of what it is that's good and bad about ourselves, and a wanting and able to talk about things with our children, to even give them a safe space to have their own emotional understanding and intelligence, which I think other generations weren't afforded.
That was really lovely. Thank you so much for joining us in part one. Will you come back in part two, please?
Yes, of course.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to part two of Vicky Pattison, The Secret To. This week, I am joined by the inspirational and incredible Ayesha Perry Iqbal. Thank you for coming back, babe.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
You're so welcome. I didn't know this, and I just got it sent this morning. And I honestly, I'm so I wanted to watch this show, and life just got in the way. I didn't realize you were one of the presenters on Naked Beach.
But I was, yeah.
Because I knew. So do you know the lad from Manchester called Jay Sky?
Yeah.
He was on that, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so I knew, I just knew him from going out in Manchester a little bit. How was that show? Because it was absolutely groundbreaking, but a bit mental, wasn't it?
Honestly, the experience was insane. We were in body paint every single day, and it was just so tremendously annoying just having to do that every single day. But
so were you just swanning round, naked as the day you were born, but covered in face paint, body paint?
Pretty much, yeah.
Shit, man. So
but you know what? The lives that we changed, some of the people that came on that show that I still follow on Instagram now, and their lives are completely different to what they would have been before they came on that show, just because of how they saw their bodies.
Yeah.
Every long hour was worth it.
Yeah.
Every bit of paint was worth it. Yeah.
So that was the premise, wasn't it? Kind of luring and encouraging shy people to learn to love their bodies through
I wouldn't
your
even
own
say necessarily they were shy. They're just massively insecure and have low self-esteem and have really skewed body image. And I just think that in general in society, even what you see on magazines and TV, whatever, obviously we're getting more open with different body shapes and different sizes. But overall, I think it's been instilled in us to hate ourselves. So, and then if in your intimate life, if you're your everyday life, you're having that thought that you hate yourself on top of what you're seeing on TV and in magazines, then you're going to just cover up and you're going to feel like this. And it stops you from doing so many things in your life. There were some people who've never worn a swimsuit before on the show.
Innit?
And they've never been in the pool. They've never enjoyed their holidays. It's insane to me.
I read something recently, and it was Emma Thompson, I believe, who I just love. She's an absolute girl crush of mine. But she was saying the energy we invest over the years, at every stage of our life, into actually actively hating ourselves as women. Imagine if we poured that energy into other things, whether it be our passions, our relationships, our hobbies, our professional interests. We waste so much time. And you're right, we're absolutely conditioned by society to dislike what we see in the mirror, whether we're very slim, whether we're very curvy, big boobs, little boobs, whatever it is. I suppose it makes us more malleable and
but all of those things are bestowed upon us by outside sources. Those are not things that we would truly believe if we didn't have that. You know what I'm saying? And I also feel that women, there's just this beauty ideal on us constantly. So we have those pressures. We're oppressed in so many ways when it comes to the workplace. And then if you're an ethnic minority, it's multiple other things. And then how men are, not all men, but there are men out there who are misogynistic or abusive, and women just deal with it from all angles like this. So no wonder we feed so much negativity into ourselves. And I think that's why it's so positive to really be the healthiest, happiest you, and really work on everything that makes you happy first before anything else.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I had a book out start of this year. God, that feels like a long time ago, called The Secret to Happy. It's a huge, I'm a huge advocate for working out what makes you happy and doing more of that. You seem so comfortable and confident in your own skin, and quite rightly so. But I know there'll be a lot of lovely ladies listening to this who are struggling with that journey. And I wondered if you had any advice for them.
Actually, what really helped me was when I was at my lowest point and I felt my self-esteem was really bad. I made a board, and on the board I wrote in all bright colors different affirmations about myself, and I didn't
Love that.
believe any of them at the time.
Mm.
So it was like, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're a creative entity, whatever it was. And I put that board right by my toilet door. So every morning I would have to walk past that board to go see it. So it was
Couldn't have a wee without being faced with it.
no, because the way we were talking about negative thoughts, it's just constantly there. So you need to override those thoughts with positivity and things that bring you good thoughts, and it sits into your subconscious because you're reading it and seeing it every day. And then in the mix of that, I would stand in the mirror, sometimes naked, sometimes not, because some of my
Mixing it up.
issues were with my body image. So sometimes I would be naked, and I would say those things to myself in the mirror. So I am instilling positivity and good thoughts into my mind, and it's a long process to get it, but that start for me was the perfect thing to really change my trajectory of how I felt about myself. So I think that would be a great thing if you wanted to start on that journey.
No, I love that. And like, I definitely feel like I was like nodding along, so I'm thinking, I'm going to get a fucking board.
Yeah,
And, you know, I'm so much
absolutely.
more comfortable and confident in my own skin, probably predominantly due to, like, you know, a bit older, wiser, 30s and all that.
Yes,
But yeah, I think we could always do with a little bit more self-love.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Right, mate. I wanted to ask you a little bit about Love Island and all of the other, you know, great big reality TV shows out there, the juggernauts, because it's a huge genre of TV, and a one in which we've been promised for years now we're going to see more diversity in, but it doesn't feel like we're quite getting there. Do you have any thoughts? I imagine you have some thoughts.
I don't think we're ever going to get any body positivity, because even just the way a lot of the men treat women on there in their misogynistic, bigot ways.
Hmm.
Um,
It is quite problematic at times,
and
isn't it?
the way they hypersexualize the beauty ideal on Love Island. Why would you want to put any woman that is bigger than what is seen as the beauty ideal for Love Island on that show to not only deal with the stigmas of the men that are on that show, but to also deal with the nation bringing them down because of their size to go with those men? So to me, I just feel like Love Island is bottom of the barrel anyway. I have some good friends that were on the show, and they're amazing people, but the way the show is run, the way it is just like putting people's mental health on the line for the state of like entertainment is unbelievable. And the fact that they're still going, considering that the presenter of the show committed suicide, to me, that tells me everything I need to know about whether there will be inclusivity, whether there will be care and consideration for women in general.
So we can't expect to see you on there anytime soon then, no?
Absolutely not. I would never go on a dating show. You're
Oh,
not about to tell me who I should be in this pool of guys that you put on there? No.
good for you, mate. Everybody's journey's different.
Oh,
You've recently taken on an incredibly brave role with the lovely guys at Refuge.
yes. Yeah, I have.
Mate, I mean, congratulations. Like, I don't know if that's
Thank you.
technically the right word, but I feel like it's, you know, it's a very powerful move. One that I can imagine took quite a lot of courage.
No, it didn't actually. What took a lot of courage was leaving the abusive relationship that I was in. That's what took a lot of courage. And I've noticed that recently I've been talking about my story for a long time on my social medias and spreading awareness about domestic violence and sexual assault. But now that I'm in a space where I'm really actually actively working for change and also doing a lot of different press outlets and things, and I'm in a really great space to share with a lot of understanding. I keep getting those comments of brave. You have a lot of courage. You're really brave, and I'm like,
You
but
don't like
what
it.
is so brave about that? What is so brave about speaking out and standing up for women that need to be stood up for? What's
I,
brave is
I
walking away.
I think personally, putting yourself in the line of fire and openly discussing any experience does actually take an awful lot of courage. So I'm sure when people tell
Yeah,
you that they're saying it from a good natured place.
yeah.
Um, could you tell everybody a little bit about Refuge for somebody who potentially might not know what it is?
So Refuge started 50 years ago. They were the first ever women's shelter in the
Wow.
world.
Wow.
The lady that
What?
started it.
Oh, I didn't realize it was international. God.
Yes.
Fucking really
And
great.
over the last 50 years, they have put up multiple shelters. They also have a hotline where people can come and, ask for different help. They honestly help in every aspect. They also have a tech support team for online abuse, which is something we're working on right now with the government to try and get women and girls put into the online safety bill. Because I don't think people realize how much bad behavior women get online, how much abuse that they suffer in so many aspects. So
And
yeah, there's a lot
that's where you're specifically sort of helping out, isn't it, Hun? Because you
at
yourself
the
have been the
moment. Yeah, because
victim. Yeah.
that's the campaign that they're running right now.
Okay.
So basically online, I mean, obviously you would understand how many trolls and horrible things can be said to you online, how much abuse that you might deal with. But then that's hard in itself when you don't know the people. But then when it's someone that you might have had as an intimate partner who is using the internet to stalk you, to threaten you, to, I don't know, stalk your friends and family, to put you in real grave danger in like your everyday life, they don't realize how menacing and how frightening that is for a victim who's already trying to physically leave the abuse, may have already left, and then they're still being re-victimized online.
Yeah. So obviously, in days of old, you would leave an emotionally or physically abusive relationship, and even though that was difficult enough, you could actually just go. But because of the reach of social media, of an online presence, like, I know it comes with loads of great things, like you can build a little online community, you can do whatever, but now that also, the sinister side of that is that these people have a direct line of contact to you even when you leave the relationship.
Absolutely. And the most murders of women happen from intimate partners, and they happen after they've left the relationship.
No, that's a very scary statistic.
So you have to be, so the online safety is the ultimate safety. Like, to be able to be stalked and threatened online, whatever app they're using, even if it's emails, text messages, phone calls, signing into your social medias, making fake accounts to follow you, all of these things, even down to, when you have a smart home and you have
Yes.
an app
Like
to
your
change the
heating and
temperatures
stuff.
and
Yeah.
lock and unlock the door, which I have in my house, hacking those apps and terrorizing you in your home through the app. Like, there's so many online abusive things. So it's people just don't realize, like,
No.
you're still in danger, even if it's online abuse.
Do you know what? Like, I could completely hold my hands up and feel like the extent of what you can suffer through, like, tech abuse, I was a bit ignorant to, but that's terrifying. And you yourself have suffered at the hands of like two ex-partners, is that right?
Yeah, I realize that both of them are probably still stalking me online now, but that's just how crazy these men are. They have these fake profiles, but I have such a big platform that I wouldn't be able to tell which one is which or who is who. But I think my one of my partners was very menacing after I broke up with him. I had like hundreds of text messages, phone calls, emails, fake accounts. He posted my nudes online, threatening my
Revenge porn,
immigration,
really?
threatening my immigration because I was in the States at the time. Just so many things, which it gave me so much fear. Like, I had complex PTSD. So walking outside of the door, and if I heard like a slight like movement, I would be like, and I like couldn't even comprehend like reality around me because I was so petrified all the time. So
That sounds awful, Aisha. I'm so sorry you went through that.
no, it's fine now, but at the time it was
Awful,
just
harrowing,
so
I would
scary.
say. But based on what you've told me, and also just understanding that there is a need for refuge, the charity, to take place, I can imagine this is a lot more common than I want to believe.
Absolutely. It's very, very common. And you also have to understand that even though the statistics of people being abused is 1 in 4 women, you have to understand that ethnic minorities tend to not come forward with their abuse for lots of different reasons. And to me, that would mean that actually those statistics are not right, because the majority of women don't even come forward with their abuse. So this is a real issue. And it's not just happening here in the UK. This is happening in every culture, every background, all over the world. And violence against women is something that men have been doing for centuries, and it's not okay.
No, you're so right. But I believe I think you working with Refuge, and using your platform to shed light on this issue, it will encourage a lot of women to get the help they need, hopefully, get away from sort of these situations as well.
Yeah, or even just give them the information if they were already thinking about leaving, to be able to have the resources to do so. When I was trying to leave my abusive relationships, I didn't have the resources. I didn't know where to look. There was nobody that looked like me, which is obviously something that's been an issue in lots of aspects of my life, like not being able to relate to people that are speaking out about it, because a lot of women that do speak about abuse are generally white women. And a lot of people that I found solid information from were women who were in their late 50s and above, who were white. That's not relatable.
You can't relate.
Yeah. And it's hard to find a space where you can see someone that you may already seemingly know from online, someone that looks like you, someone who can actually really speak to you and have understanding, to be able to find that courage to leave,
Yeah, but honestly, I do. And I feel like you are going to be helping an awful lot of women, ones who, look like you, but ones who don't as well. Like I just think it's inspirational. So well done, you, like big pat on the back.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. I want to end on like a pretty like upbeat note, because I think so much of what you've done in your life has been like incredible, has been really powerful, and you're just getting fucking started, aren't you? So here at Vicky Patterson The Secret To, we always ask our gorgeous guests to give our lovely listeners a little pearl of wisdom, and I feel like yours could have been like a million different things, but it feels to me like you have really made it your mission to break down boundaries, to challenge perceptions, and to just be like unapologetically you. So I wanted to know what your secret was to breaking down boundaries.
Long one. I guess being unapologetically myself, but that doesn't come from nothing. That's come from knowing that I deserve more, knowing that in my life, I need to live it as the healthiest, happiest me. So I feel like the more that you feed love and positivity to yourself, the better you will be able to be, and the more you'll be able to live unapologetically, because honestly, who really cares what anybody else thinks? Like, do you?
No, and it's so important, put yourself first, practice self-care, believe in yourself. We tell our friends this, we tell our children it, hopefully, but how often do we tell ourselves, I think we need to practice what we preach.
But it could also just be like it doesn't have to be, we've talked about all different things that we've done, but it could be something so simple like, I want to go to Starbucks right now and turn my phone off for 5 minutes. Yeah. That is self-care. I want to go to Starbucks and I want to get a drink and I want to sit down and everyone leave me alone for 5 minutes. Great, do it, because that's good for you right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think just not thinking like, oh, to be unapologetically me is going to take all these different things. No, start with what makes sense for you.
Small steps. Yeah, that's it. That is it. Oh, mate, honestly, what a pleasure to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking your time to chat to us today about some quite, I can imagine, triggering things. So thank you and good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.